Welcome to Film Jury, where movies stand trial and the verdict is always final. In every episode, our roundtable of film fanatics becomes the jury, dissecting the visuals, the sound, the storytelling, and the performances as they examine every element that makes or breaks a movie, because every film deserves its verdict. Warning, this podcast does contain strong language and major spoilers are ahead. Court is now in session. Welcome to our latest episode of the Film Jury Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to really be answering the question of how much does our nostalgia actually hold up when it comes to rating a film? And in today's episode, we're going to be discussing It from 1990. I'm the host that still sees the ghost, James.
And I am the creepy yellow balloon, Heidi.
And I am the dramatic hugging scenes, Kristina.
So, 1990 It. I probably haven't seen it in at least 20 years, maybe longer, maybe closer to 30 years. But this was a movie like that I remember fondly from when I saw it as a child when it came out. And I had rewatched it a few times. I had a VHS copy. It was a dual VHS. You had night one on one VHS and night two on the second VHS. I will be honest, I usually only watched the first night and would skip the second VHS, which I think we'll at some point talk about why that may be. But like, I'm curious, like your two thoughts, like what was your memory of this film? Like, what were your thoughts going into it? Like, did you have any preconceived notions or memories that were you were bringing into this recording?
For me, I had never watched it. I was never planning to watch it. I hate clowns. And so I just stayed away from it my whole life, even though my stepmom would always be in the house watching horror movies. I would leave. Like she'd put on The Exorcist and I'm like, I'm out the back door. So I walked in just thinking clowns. What did I sign up for? Oh dear.
And you got like, and none of these films are short films, and you're good. So you got like almost 10 hours of clowns.
Yeah. These are the things I do for us.
Yep. What about you, Kristina?
I remember watching this as a kid. But I hadn't seen it for a good decade. So rewatching it was really fun.
So the movie is directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, and he's credited as one of the screenwriters, with Lawrence Cohen being the other screenwriter. Tommy Lee Wallace was the director of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Another movie that isn't actually really that scary. We have starring in this. We have Jonathan Brandis as young Bill. We have Seth Green.
Recognized him immediately.
Early Seth Green as Richie Tozer. I found like the casting of the younger players I found fine, like in regards to like who they were. It was the adults I found peculiar. I mean, you had John Ritter, sitcom actor. You had Harry Anderson, another sitcom actor from Night Court, and also Cheers. I think one of his first bits was he played the con man in Cheers. Like, he's in several episodes in season 1. I just found that so strange. It was just to me that felt against the grain, just in like who they're portraying. And I'm not sure what your thoughts were on that.
Out of all the actors, the only one I really recognized was Seth Green. Because Cheers and shows like that, those were a little bit before my time, so I really haven't seen them. So the only one I was familiar with was Seth Green.
Yeah, I recognized Seth and Jonathan, and then as the adults, I mean, the first person you meet is Bill, and I was like, that's John Boy from the Waltons.
Yeah,
that's all I could think.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Richard Thomas and his signature face bowl.
Yeah, I kept waiting for him to say, good night, somebody. Good night, somebody.
They had to put a fake mole on on Jonathan Brandis for consistency between the young and the old. So they drew on a little mole on young Brandis. All right, well, let's dive into the just a plot summary. In the spring of 1960, young George Denenbrough sails a paper boat in the rain in Derry, Maine. When it falls into a storm drain, he encounters Pennywise, the dancing clown, who entices him to reach inside before brutally killing him. George's older brother, Bill, struggles with grief and survivor's guilt. During the summer, Bill befriends a new kid, Ben Hanscom, and an asthmatic Eddie Kasperick. They are soon joined by Beverly Marsh, who lives with an abusive father, and the rest of Bill's friends, Richie Tozer and Stan Uris. The children collectively are bullied by Henry Bowers and his gang as they began experiencing terrifying encounters with Pennywise. When Mike Hanlon is chased by Bowers' gang, the kids band together, defending themselves and solidifying their bond as the Losers Club. Through Mike's history scrapbook, they learn that Pennywise, or what they will define as it, is an ancient creature that awakens every few decades to feed. They then journey into the sewers to confront it. Stan becomes separated from the group and faces an attack from Bowers and one of his gang members, Belch, with Belch being killed by Pennywise and Henry left traumatized with the hair of David Bowie. In a climactic confrontation, the children harness their imaginations and bravery as Eddie harms Pennywise with his inhaler, and Beverly strikes Pennywise with silver earrings shot from a slingshot. As together they drive the creature back. Believing it dead, the losers exit the sewer and return and swear to return if it ever comes back. Bowers, driven insane by the encounter, is institutionalized. And now we get into Act 2 of the two-night teleseries. In 1990, Pennywise awakens again, killing Lori Ann Wintenbarger and prompting Mike, the only loser who stayed in Derry, to contact his friends. All return except Stan, who commits suicide rather than facing his past trauma. The group is terrorized once more by Pennywise and Bowers, who escapes the asylum under the creature's influence. Bill's wife, Audra, is captured by Pennywise and placed under the monster's hypnotic deadlights. The losers descend into the sewers, discovering Pennywise's true form, a giant spider. Eddie is mortally wounded, attempting to repeat his childhood attack, but the remaining losers ultimately kill Pennywise by ripping out his heart. They escape with Audra and lay Eddie to rest. The losers part ways again, their memories fading over time, though Beverly and Ben marry and expect a child. Richie pursues acting, and Bill helps Audra recover by riding her down the street on his childhood bike, as credits roll. All right. So let's start with night one. This was on ABC in 1990, and I would say like this, back then, like when you had something like this hit TV, it's not like everyone had access to streaming or HBO or, this was a very pinnacle moment. And like, I would say this was like the heart of like, King succeeding. Like I think Pet Sematary came out right around this time. I remember during when it was broadcasting, they were playing ads for Misery, which was coming out in theaters. So this is prime time Stephen King. But we open with a little girl being stalked and killed by Pennywise. And I don't know if you caught the song she was singing as she's like riding around her or playing in the front yard of her house. She's singing Itsy Bitsy Little Spider.
That's what I wrote down. Yeah.
They're signaling the spider is coming.
I was just distracted by that music. Like once the piano hit and the synths, like the nostalgia wave came on very strong.
So I'm curious your thoughts on the music because it is very of its time. It did not age well, but I think it's still like, I think that's one of the elements of this I still was okay with was that the music still kind of had a haunting feel. And Heidi, you hadn't seen this before. I'm just curious how it landed with you.
What I really noticed about music and sound in general for the entirety of the movie was that there's not a lot of background noise. Everything felt intentional. It was either them talking or there was music for a reason, such as the piano or the Itsy Bitsy Spider song. There wasn't all this drama music like dun dun dun, leading up to whatever's going to happen. It was very quiet, I would say.
And that could be a product of just budget and the fact that this is a TV miniseries. But you are right. There wasn't a lot of like you don't have like musical stings like when something happens,
Exactly.
and the strings hit. Like this is not like a thing of jump scares. And I'd argue it's not that scary. But
which
really,
surprised me. I expected a lot of jumping, and I expected to be like holding my fingers over my eyes kind of movie. And that didn't happen.
I think for its time, because again, this was 1990, this was on television, so like the scares were definitely toned down from like the book and the eventual future version. But of its time, I think there was still surprises, I would say. Like not jump scares, but definitely like something eerie is going on.
And I don't think jump scares were that big back then.
No,
I don't think so.
So the way episode 1, we'll just call it episode 1 because it's tonight. The way it's structured, I mean, it is very clearly structured for TV because every segment is Mike calling one of the losers and the loser having a flashback, and that will happen before every commercial break. Okay, so you
even have the fade-ins.
Mike calls Bill, and then after that he calls Ben, and after that he calls Beverly, and after that he calls Richie, and then Eddie, and then Stan. Like he's just and that's how they had it broken up, where every break of the show is him doing a call and the person having a flashback. So I think for pacing, I think that's effective because we're getting an encapsulation of not just who this person is, but how this character matters in the bigger in the group, as in this losers club. So you get a little bit of context with this narrative structure. So I actually liked that pacing element of it.
And with each flashback, you get like more and more of them together, so you kind of see how they became friends.
That's true, because the first flashback we have Bill, and it's just him and Georgie. With as we fade in with like Fur Elise playing, which that is a song now that is forever entrenched with this movie in my mind. I do not hear that song without hearkening back to that scene in this film. He has to make the boat for Georgie, and Georgie takes the boat down, and then Georgie encounters Pennywise, and this is where we see Tim Curry's first on-camera appearances. Pennywise, and I don't know if you noticed in the credits, he's listed as special appearance, special appearance by Tim Curry, which that leads me to believe that he filmed all of his scenes in a very short period of time. That he was.
I didn't think about that. Yeah,
I'm just guessing. Like he was probably the biggest bill on this. He had come back, he had come off Legend, and he had come off Clue kind of bombed, but Rocky Horror Picture Show was kind of, I think, picking up more notoriety as a cult film at this point. But we get our first appearance of him at this point.
I've seen special guests like that title show up, even if it's somebody that's really reoccurring and deep in the plot. So I think that's just kind of a special recognition. Like, this is the big guy we pulled.
And what do we think about Tim Curry? Like, let's
I love
unpack
him.
that. Well, let's unpack that. Like, how, is he effective in this character?
Yes, I think so.
As a villain. Yeah,
I would. And let me. Okay, so Heidi, this is your first. Are you able to separate the nostalgic memory of him being like really our introduction to the fear of clowns, and the iconography of his face as Pennywise, for is he actually scary as a character, removing any of that context?
Not really. Not as much as I expected, but I also had forgotten that he plays Pennywise. Completely forgot. Just, started the movie and went, here we go.
Yeah. I've really kind of been waffling back and forth. Like, we're going to be discussing, Bill Skarsgård's portrayal in the next episode. But I will say, I think there's a certain like gravitas that Tim Curry brings to it, and his voice, although he's somewhat inconsistent in his accent. Just how he commands the scene, I think, is really powerful, because there wasn't the budget for a lot of special effects, and they're not going to do a ton of gore in this. So really, this has to be what is not shown, and also what is said and how it is said. So I do give a lot of credit to Tim Curry for this role, and I think he eats up the scenes he's in, no pun intended.
Yeah, I would say he's less scary, but he definitely brings a menacing feel.
Yes.
And between like the two iterations of Pennywise, he does embrace more of a joking clown type dark humor than Bill Skarsgård, which I think was fun.
It is fun, and I think
Yeah.
that fun holds up. I think it is fun. It is still fun seeing him in that role. I do like the fade out they did between. He wastes no time dispatching George. He's right to it, which is something that I'm going to bring up throughout this, which is how inconsistent he is when it comes to his attacks.
Yep.
There's really no, it's very unclear what the rules are.
When
point.
Does he eat and when does he marinate?
Correct.
Yeah.
And when is he a clown versus when is he anything else? Just a sink of blood versus a spider versus a mummy versus a leper versus a werewolf versus anything. They're really when is he in the real world? When is he imagined? There really is no consistency, and I think they just yada over a lot of elements in the book, which you have to. I mean, this book is 1,400 pages.
Yeah, it's huge.
And there's Heidi. Have you read the book?
No.
Oh, so you don't. So you're not up on the space turtles.
No.
No,
I came into this completely blind.
Yeah, well,
it's
maybe
trip.
for the best. Maybe for the best. So you missed out on the eternal space turtle and the massive group orgy as kids.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, you missed a lot. We'll just learn.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because you really feel that awkward love between all the kids. There's a lot of I'm gonna kiss you and then you and then you and then you kind of things going on.
Yeah.
The kissing in this is
a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. Beverly is a kisser. Beverly's a kisser.
It took me right back to high school because I hung out with a bunch of dudes.
Are you saying you were Beverly?
Yeah, I relate to her very much. I understood her character.
Annette O'Toole is your spirit animal. So one thing I really, and I'm going to be very complimentary in the first section of this, because after the first section, I'm not going to be. You have this really cool fade out between Pennywise's teeth to the wreath on Georgie's casket. And I thought that was a really cool transitional shot. But then, you immediately go to a bunch of people standing in the rain and only 3 people have umbrellas, and no one bothers to put an umbrella over the priest who's holding a Bible out in the middle of the rain. Trauma. Yes. There's a lot of Stephen King tropes in this. And then from there we go to Ben's, which now Ben played by John Ritter, which weird casting, wearing like Western wear for some reason, even though where's he, in Chicago or New York?
Oh, I don't
Some major
recall.
metropolitan city.
Yeah.
I know
he's
Bev was in Chicago because
he's on the cover of Time magazine, looking, very striking, wearing what looks to be the same outfit that he's in that scene.
Budget.
It's the only one he
and
owns.
Yeah, I mean the Western wear is thick, which whatever. He has his flashback to he sees his father. Another like Pennywise is just scaring him at no like has a very pathetic attempt of turning into like a mossy skeleton to grab his foot, and like Ben runs away. Is like, that seemed easy. It seems easy to get away from Pennywise up to this point, with the exception of Georgie, which Georgie put his hand in the sewer. Like, you kind of asked for it, kid. Any other observations about Ben's segment?
I did like that scare with his father. Well, like once it was a weird skeleton puppet, not so much, but like this is a kid that's hurting because he's lost his father. So to see his father with that red balloon, very creepy.
It's trauma.
Yeah.
Like we're unpacking childhood trauma. He lost his father, and that is something that this creature is preying upon. And I did like it's not technically great, but I like the effect of it. The vocal transition between his father's voice, which was still very stilted and dreamlike in its pacing, to Tim Curry's voice starting to lay over it, and then the buttons starting to appear on the military uniform. I thought that was effective.
Yeah. And in front of that building, which I assume was the entrance to the sewers.
The Barrens, yeah.
The Barrens, yeah. That building in the distance is it's different from the newer movies, but it's still very creepy.
Yeah. One thing I'll point out that I thought was funny is Ben's foreplay as an adult, which is he has the I don't know if she's a prostitute, the infatuated woman, and his foreplays. Did you know I used to be fat?
Yeah, and then keeps going.
He's not good at foreplay.
No,
he's not. And she turns quick on him, which is, she's like, "Hey, are you all right?" And he's like, "No, I don't think I am." She's like, "Oh, you're just gonna kill yourself?" It's like, whoa, where did that come from? That got dark quick. And then of course, I think she planted that idea, because then he goes up to the roof and has to look down his high rise he's architecting that he lives in. I have to assume. Yeah. So from there, we now go to Beverly, the adult Beverly, played by Annette O'Toole, the child Beverly, played by, Emily Perkins. And we have Beverly receives the phone call, and she's a very successful fashion designer with like the most cliche, like late 80s, early 90s American Psycho partner. I don't think they're married. I think partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're just telegraphing, okay, she married her father, which would have been interesting had they cast the same person and just changed how they looked. I thought that would have been clever, but okay. Here's my curiosity about this. And, this is a King thing. How is Beverly as successful as she is with how she presents herself?
What do you mean?
Well, okay. So one of the things that they kind of yada over in the miniseries, I think in both the miniseries and later in the movies, is they all became wildly successful, with the exception of Mike, who stayed in Derry. I mean, you know, Bill's a great author, Ben's a great architect, Beverly's a successful fashion designer, but she's meek and like
Well,
very controlled and like very unsure of herself. How is she running a massive fashion empire?
She does the designs, but it's like implied that he runs the business because he's the one that sets up the meetings and stuff. So he controls it.
Yeah. It still feels
creativity behind it.
And maybe it's just how Annette O'Toole's playing it. I don't like her in this. No, I don't like her in this at all. I think she's really rough in this, but she goes from like, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, you have that scene of her in the office with her partner and she's like trembling and can barely put words together. And then like 5 minutes later, she's like screaming at him, assaulting him, throwing hand cream at him. Like, it was like, this isn't consistent. But we have this flashback with the sink of blood.
Mm-hmm.
And what, like, pretty, like when we talk about iconography and memorable moments, like that is a memorable moment, something that they repeated in the remake of this. That was, once again, I think this was an effective use of like, and also a lot of blood to show on network television.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the bubbling in the sink afterwards too. It just like you could tell, like it wasn't just over with the pop of the balloon.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question. So she runs away from her father at some point during her flashback, but her father stops on the stoop, like he can't leave the house. Why is that? Like these men, like both her father and her new partner, they don't do much to chase her. Like all she has to do is leave a room, and they're kind of like, well, I can't leave this front stoop here. Like I'm stuck on this stoop. I guess you win.
No, I think they know she'll be back because she does have that meekness to her. She's not gonna leave.
Yeah. I just lost my train of thought. I apologize.
All good.
I just think it looks better for them to stay on the stoop or in the room yelling at her as she leaves. And then we go to Richie, who is like the worst comedian ever, but somehow is like wildly successful.
I did remember. They also don't want to be abusive in public. That because abusers tend not to show that side of them in front of others.
Okay. Okay. I'll concede to that point. That tracks. So Richie then has his flashback, which is I was a teenage werewolf, which, by the way, came out 2 years before this movie takes place. Like it came out in 1958. This is 1960. So strange. And also not scary. This is not none like, okay, so we're just going to rip off Michael Landon as a werewolf. And once again, all you had to do was run away. Like, that's it. And now we go to Eddie. And Eddie kind of had I don't know. I think Eddie had the weakest flashback. Like you had the shower scene with the like really, really, really bad stop motion of Pennywise coming up through the sewer drain. And the shower heads attacking or spraying hot water at him, which, by the way, this whole scene was done better in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Like, this is not an original concept, but Pennywise doesn't even try to attack him in this. No. Just kind of wants to gab at him.
It is a marinating versus
just wants to chat.
Full attack, yeah.
Let's just chat. Let's just have a talk. You're in the shower. I'm in the shower. We're just buds, just hanging out. And then we now have Stan's flashback. Well, I guess pre that, we have the big showdown with the Bowers gang, and they throw rocks and okay, I do like that. You know, Mike Hanlon comes into the group. They have to form this bond with him, and it's, you know, finding that common enemy. Okay, I do like that. I think, you know, we have the gift of contrast. You know, I think it's done better, you know, in 2017. But fine, like I believe that they're together. And then, you know, Mike then gives the exposition. Hey, I have this photo book and all these things are tied to this one entity. And then the photo book comes to life and the hand pops out. Hey, here's a jump scare. That I didn't see that coming. Like, that was a good jump scare.
Oh yeah.
There was a good jump scare. And so now they decide, okay, we got to go after Pennywise, and they decide silver is what does it. But how did they get to that?
Probably
Silver
from the
Wolves.
werewolf movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Which I didn't see either. So, you know, doesn't silver kill like vampires and werewolves?
Doesn't hurt vampires.
Werewolves, though.
But it just, yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, here are my mother's earrings.
That didn't look like earrings at all.
I think
Right,
it's
these
explained more in the
huge
book.
honking earrings.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
90s.
So they go into the sewer. Now, this is all Stan's flashback. Okay. This is the conclusion of night one. They go into the sewers, and Henry Bowers and his gang, for some reason, always knows where they are. Like, he has like a GPS tracker on them. And his friends, like, you know, just to contrast, when Henry Bowers is going to carve his name into Ben's tummy, his friends are like, well, don't actually do it. And he's like, what do you mean? Cut him? You know, there's that like really intense scene. They go from that to, you know, we're like, oh, he's kind of a psychopath, to, you know, they're watching the kids go into the sewer, and Henry's like, and they're never coming out. And his friend's like, okay. Like, you're now just complicit in him being a murderer. Now you really have gone along with this. But now all of a sudden, okay, so we have it vision with the, you know, of it going through the tunnels, and it's just like a flashlight going through the tunnels. This is new. It vision is new. It's not been in any other part of this film, but all of a sudden there's it vision, and it attacks one of the, I guess, Belch, one of his two friends.
So. Yeah.
Which, by the way, he does it nowhere near where Stan is. So why was this part of Stan's memory? Like, that's not tracking. But then he just decides to turn Henry's hair white for reasons.
Yeah, and not kill him.
Yeah, like, once again, like for a clown that has such a murder boner, he doesn't do a ton of killing.
I think the hair turning white was just from fear being exposed
well,
to
yes,
something.
I understand that it just looked dumb. And also, why didn't you just kill him? like, so when you are creating something like this and you have a 1,400-page book, you have a lot of decisions to make when it comes to what from this book are we taking and what from this book we're throwing away. You know, like, clearly they threw away the space turtle, and they threw away the fact that Pennywise is an alien, and they threw away the weird orgy, and you know, they threw away a lot of the death scenes. Like, there was a lot more you could have gotten rid of to tighten this up. But, you know, they're now pushing this notion that the kid's belief is what can conquer Pennywise, right? So, you know, Eddie says, you know, oh, this is battery acid, as he sprays his inhaler, and it starts melting Tim Curry's face. And so maybe it's, you know, are we to believe that maybe it's their belief that silver is the thing, is why silver impacts him?
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
All right. So they shoot him with earrings, and then we have the really weird shot of him, like, this was the rest of their money, of him, you know, turning into a you know, Gumby and going down the drain, which looks absolutely terrible. And then we end with, Stan killing himself, takes a bath and ends up killing himself. And credits roll. That's the end of night 1. And all of a sudden we're now into night 2. And for me, tonally, this changes. And I'm curious your thoughts on this. And I think because, one, I just think we are just more drawn to the narrative of the children because we were kids kind of when this came out. But I also think the children were just written better because there's not much in this. Like, there's so little in this part 2 that so much of part 2 is just flashing back to the kids from part 1.
True.
Yeah, a lot of part 2 felt like more of a therapy session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get together and reminisce about,
Mhm.
and as they start to remember the things and the flashbacks come back.
Yeah.
And so
Lot of
they all
hugging, lot
they
of
all
kissing.
get together, or the 6 remaining because
Mhm.
Stan's gone. They get together at a Chinese restaurant, and they're having these fortune cookie hallucinations, which look so stupid. Although at the time, as a kid, I was like freaked out by it, but this is not good at this point.
No,
Like,
that was really ridiculous.
okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought this was. And like, once again, we're struggling with the rules here. Like, Pennywise kills kids. Why is he goading adults now?
And why these remaining 6? And I wrote that
Why these
down. Why is
remaining
he
6?
targeting the 7 in the beginning? Or is
It-
he? Or is it just because that's what we're
It's
decide we're
it's
hearing
because
it
of
from?
plot. It's because they just need it for the plot. And once again, now we're with inconsistencies. So everyone that moves away doesn't remember
Mhm.
anything, right? But Mike does because Mike stayed in town. But earlier in the movie, Mike's saying that, oh, well, the grown-ups, or Mike and Bill were saying the grown-ups don't know any of this, or they don't remember any of this because they grew up. Well, now you're just contradicting yourself. It's these
Or he's saying that he
inconsistencies.
never grew up.
Maybe. I mean, it might be because he saw it and he believed it and he never stopped believing it. Whereas
And
most
he's
of
the
these adults never saw
librarian,
it. Yeah.
right? So he keeps seeing it and reading about it so it stays
Mhm.
fresh.
The belief is that everyone in this town is complicit in what is happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we see that. Like, we see how terrible everyone in this town is.
It
Like,
is.
everyone is a nightmare.
Yeah, it is touched upon a little bit because Bev mentions that scene where she's being bullied and one of the towns members sees and then walks away.
Walks away.
Doesn't do anything.
Yep.
And I don't know how much is really said in the book about this, but the presence of it affects everyone. And I think in the book it does mention that it can bring out the worst in people. That's why the bullies are terrifying in this town. That's why the adults are more scared and they turn a blind eye to many of the things going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the fear; it affects everybody.
A virus.
In different ways. Yeah.
It's a virus. And that would have been a more interesting angle to spend more time on, is what this virus does to the town. Because the idea is Derry is supposed to be a replica of any small town in America, meaning this could happen anywhere. This infection could happen to us in wherever we are, in Arizona, in California, in Chicago, like, in any suburban town, this can happen. But throughout this, as we're kind of bringing all these people back into town, Pennywise is just goading them. He's not even trying to attack them. He doesn't try to attack Richie in the library. Maybe he kind of tries to get Bev, but not really. Kind of like a half attempt to grab her as she's running away. Like, once again, it's very easy for everyone to get away.
Yeah, I could, and a lot of the times those scenes were fun, but it did feel like he was trying to scare them away, not inviting them in so he could deal with them.
I disagree because Bill has that vision at the graveyard, because of course Bill has to, the first thing Bill does is visit his brother's grave. It's like, oh, I forgot. How could I forget? And Pennywise has the grave markers up, right, for the 7, but
pick.
stands. He's inviting.
Okay.
He wants it. But once again, he doesn't do anything. He's just like, take your pick, and then he's gone. Like, I hate these scenes. I don't like, with the exception of, I like Bev's scene with the woman.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, speaking of like casting actor, I think the actor that played her father played the woman in the dress with the face kind of melting. I think that was the same actor.
At the end of it?
At the end of it, like
it was. Yeah. Because you could see that that was a man's frame.
Yeah. That was like, the blood in the teacup, like that was an effective scene. But I think that was the only effective scene in, these people coming back to town. I mean, Bill sees Pennywise in a cemetery, and then he goes for a bike ride with Mike. Because we have to fill time. Like, this is just not paced well. And then we have to bring back Henry Bowers for who's locked in a hallway. Like, he's not even in a room. He's in a hallway.
That was strange.
You noticed that too.
They proposed it as like an asylum type thing, and why would he just be next to 3 other dudes?
Especially because they say that he admitted to killing a bunch of children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this also, this is only 30 years, right? Like, this 30 years, they were what, 12, 13? Like, they were pre-teens. They're in their early 40s. I'm 42.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is freaking old in this. They are so old. How old is Henry Bowers? He looks like 60. Like, ignore the white hair. That's a 60-year-old man.
True.
That's an old man. Like, these are old.
But it's not like he's in there taking his vitamins and working out,
Yeah.
It was a really weird casting. And then we have to see Pennywise over the moon. We have to see Pennywise as a dog.
That I thought was strange. The orderly gets killed by the dog.
He kills an orderly, an adult orderly. So now he can kill adults. I thought adults didn't believe.
I thought that's why he needed Henry Bowers. So because Henry would have been more effective against adults than Pennywise would be.
But no, Pennywise kills the adult, but yet he can manifest a knife to give Henry Bowers a knife. I think what we're seeing is Stephen King is just not that good. Because this is just not good. This is poor writing.
He was just jamming the book out, got to get it done. Here you go. Here's the book.
I guess so. And the kids are just more interesting. And I don't even think King is interested in the adult stories.
Did he have a hand in doing the screenwriting for this?
No.
Oh, see, because I don't really remember too much from the book, so I don't know how this played out in the book. So this could be an adaptation issue.
The turtle.
Well, I'm not saying there's not weird stuff in the books.
Yeah. So we bring Henry Bowers in just to eat up time. He doesn't even do anything. He takes Mike Hanlon off the board, which, by the way, we don't even need Mike Hanlon. We can eliminate one of these characters entirely and have 6. There's too many characters. Mike Hanlon does nothing in this second night. 0.
I mean, he's the one that brings them back together, but
he's important in the beginning.
But rewrite it, eliminate one of the characters, have someone else stay. Have Stan's the one who stays. And brings them all back with his suicide.
Yeah.
They come back for the funeral. That would have been so much better.
But if they forgot all the memories,
I mean, if they
he had
forgot that
stayed-
much, a call from an obscure name named Mike is not like, oh, I'm just going to come all the way back.
But if they had stayed or if Stanley had stayed and had like photo albums, memory books, told his wife about the people in his life, his wife might have reached out with like,
there we go,
funeral announcements, and that could have been what brings their memories.
I like
back.
this story better. Let's do this instead. But instead we get Bowers taking Mike off the board, and then Richie at every scene saying, let's get out of here. Just exhausting. This is an exhausting night of television. Now then we bring back Audra, because
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Bill's wife Audra, all of a sudden she's in town now, because which we did not need. Bill was going into the sewer anyway. This was not necessary to have Audra's character in this.
Yeah, and she had to fly from another country
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, London.
to get there. Yeah, so that's a big deal. Why not just call him and see how he's doing?
This is unnecessary. It's just, we're just eating up time because they have to stretch this run time, whatever. Okay, so they go into the sewers, and now it is the dumbest looking giant spider.
The one thing that I did appreciate is when they go down into the sewer down that ladder, they go down in the same order as when they were children. I don't know if you
Good
noticed
catch.
that.
No,
I
I was bored off my ass at this point.
There's a few moments of overlaying what happened as kids with what's going on as adults. Like there was when Bill is asking for help, suddenly it's not his voice, it's his kid's voice saying, please help me. Like, it was nicely done.
Okay. But the spider.
Spider's terrible.
Yeah, I was not.
Something else. Should have rewritten it.
Budget.
Dumb ending. Dumb ending.
It did, though. Then I finally understood. I think it's when Mike Hanlon's friend gets attacked and he gets attacked. You see this like weird floating abdomen above him, remember?
Yeah.
And it's the spider. And I was like, because I wrote down, I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know about the spider.
Floating abdomen. Yeah. With the lights. Yeah. With the lights.
Yeah.
Which they don't ever really explain. And, then now he's freezing people in part 2, but he's not. This was never brought up in part 1. He just ripped Georgie's arm off and ate him.
Did he
of
rip
course,
Georgie's arm off in this movie?
They said he did.
Yes.
But they didn't show it.
They didn't show it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you can't show harm to kids.
We have to have the moment where Eddie admits he's a virgin.
Yeah.
Before they go in.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
Because you don't want to die as one, in front of all your friends.
They kind of address this in the reboot. He's gay.
No.
You cannot have a gay man on television in 1990.
Eddie wasn't.
But you can.
Well,
you
they
can
never
pivot
said Eddie was gay. In the new one, they said Richie was gay.
They changed it, yes. But he plays this as a gay man, and you cannot have a gay man on network television. So this was, I actually I didn't mind that, because it was like, okay, it's their way of trying to do something that they can't actually do, which is like, he has been closeted his life. He's still living with his mother. And these people are the only people he's ever been able to form love with outside of his mother, because he's repressed his sexuality. Mm-hmm. I actually liked that element of it, which they really weren't allowed to do. You can show a sink full of blood, but you can't have a gay man on TV in 1990.
Fair. I'm not used to thinking about that anymore because it's just normal.
It was a different time. It was a completely different time. But they kicked the spider. I guess that's all it took, was to kick a spider. like, and
And
rip
they
its
don't
heart out.
even
Like,
show it. They have to just show their like the shadows on the wall.
yeah, there was no budget
They do
for
pull
it.
out its heart though, right?
Yeah, they pulled out its
Yeah.
heart. I think the director Tommy Lee Wallace has been interviewed about this and has, kind of lamented that the ending was not what he had hoped for.
Mm.
And I don't think it's what anyone had hoped for. So they leave. Eddie's dead, and we have to. Bill has to give Audra a ride on his bike.
That was
revive her.
weird. Like, how does that fix it?
It doesn't. It doesn't. This makes no sense
I-
at all because they never explained what the bike was. Like, the book has a long discussion of the bike and what the bike means. That was
Yeah.
just not in the movie.
I understood it to be Bill's bike, and he named it Silver. And it's cute that he got it back.
That's as much as they gave you.
Yeah, and I mean he does ride with a couple people on it, so it's kind of almost that little getaway car type.
Yeah, he does say that it was fast
thing.
enough to beat the devil. Like that's a line that's said. I
But
think
why
it was
is
more
why
his...
is Audra like the last like thread we have to undo in this? Like, this has just been
Yeah.
like this downhill anticlimactic racing to the bottom, and we're gonna end with Audra saving Audra.
Who was unnecessary to begin with.
Like, can we just turn the TV off at this point? Like, I would be curious to know what the viewership drop off was by this point, because this is rough. But she comes to, and they embrace in the middle of traffic, and which a lot of traffic for this small town.
Yeah, suddenly everyone's on the road going every different direction.
Yeah, they all have to converge in this.
Was that not a different area?
No, they're still in Derry.
Okay.
Because where's he going to take the bike? Is he going to take the bike on a plane to
There.
London? No, they're in Derry.
Felt like San Francisco.
Yeah. There's no. What is this? There's no hills in Maine. What are you talking about? And then credits roll, and we're done. Like, and here we are. Like, there's so much of this that, like, I really feel like I was looking at with rose-colored glasses of nostalgia. I was like, oh, this movie's iconic, and you can't. I thought this would hold up. I struggle with this because I don't think this holds up. I don't like the casting. I don't like the acting. The effects aren't there because there was no budget for it. Outside of the portrayal of Pennywise, which is iconic because of Tim Curry, there's just so much here that is just so extemporaneous, and just it's fluff, and I just don't know if it holds up.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's like cute, heartfelt moments throughout with, the kids' bonds. But beyond that, there's a bunch of crap that doesn't need to be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kristina?
I mean, you have expressed your distaste for the second half of this, and I agree that the second half, like I said, it feels like a therapy session. It felt very daytime television soap opera almost.
It felt daytime television, yes.
Yeah. Which does detract from it. But I do love Tim Curry's performance in this. I love Tim Curry. He's great in whatever he does. But yeah, it's definitely rough and definitely shows its age.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at that point now. It's time to give a verdict. So we're going to start with Heidi. On a scale of 1 to 5, how many gavels do you give it 1990?
I wrote down 3, and I think that's generous.
Okay. Kristina.
Can I rank the first and second parts separately?
That is going to be the hardest part of this. Is no, you cannot. This is a singular film. This was just broadcast over 2 nights.
I'll say a 3. I think the first half is great. I think it's because of how iconic it is. Just, I think it's worth a watch. It definitely has problems. It's definitely rough around the edges, and it's definitely a product of its time.
Mhm.
And it's still fun. It is still a fun movie, so I'll give it 3.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
glad that I watched it, but I won't watch it again.
And Heidi, I think you hit my exact point, which is I'm going to give it a 2. And the reason I'm going to give it a 2 is if it were just the first night, this would be a 3. It's not great. It has lots of problems. I don't really like the acting, but I do like the portrayal of the kids coming together as a unit. And you could have ended on that first night, and I would have been fine with that. Um, the second night is so bad. The second night's a 1 for me. It is so poorly executed, so poorly acted. It's not scary at all. Where the first one had moments, the second one's not terrifying at all, and has just the worst last hour on screen. It really it pulls down part 1 or the first night so much. So for me, this is a 2. So that gives us a total of 8. So this is a hung jury. Decide for yourself. I do say there is some iconic moments in the first night, but this is not something I'll probably ever watch again. This has no rewatchability factor after this moment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair.
All right. So that is the verdict for It from 1990. In our next episode, we're going to be unpacking It Chapter 1. And so tune in for that wherever you get your shows. And thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Film Jury Podcast.